Hello, I'm Warren.
And I'm Miroslav, and welcome to the What the Friday podcast.
In this episode, Ella has been speaking to Ruby from Invictus Wellbeing about how little issues can become big issues.
Let's hear how they got on.
Hello, my name is Ella, and today we're going to be talking about the little issues and how they can become big issues. To help us with this conversation, I have Ruby from Invictus Wellbeing today.
Hi.
So to start off, why do so many young people feel like their problems aren't big enough to talk about?
Sometimes young people think that you have to be in crisis, really struggling, not functioning, or in crisis to be able to access mental health support. But actually that's not the case at all. A lot of young people make comparisons as well, comparisons to each other. If they know friends, people at school who are experiencing different things, especially with social media, and it's important not to measure each other. It's really hard not to make these comparisons, but they can be quite damaging and might actually make someone not seek the support they need just because they're comparing themselves to others. I always like to think that mental health support's a bit like brain maintenance. Even if you're not at the point where you're really not functioning, it's maintaining it, it's keeping your health, keeping you well. Often if you are in crisis, it's not the right time to access support. For example, at Invictus Wellbeing, we are low intensity early intervention service, which means that we don't accept people in crisis. So the whole point of our service is to support young people who just need a little bit of wellbeing support.
So to follow on, is there such a thing as a small mental health problem, or do all struggles matter?
Sometimes using words like small can be quite harmful language because it diminishes people's needs. All struggles matter, just like physical health. Catching things early can make a huge difference. Like, for example, if you were going to the dentist, you wouldn't wait until a tooth is falling out. You might actually go when you start to feel the pain, or you can go for regular checkups when there actually isn't already an issue in your teeth. Mental health's just the same, whether it's anxiety, low mood, loneliness, all of it matters. Everyone can have worse periods and better periods as well. So maybe small could be that for one person at one point in their life, they feel like they're coping quite well and their mental health problems might be quite small at that point. But again, they might go through a bad period and that could all change. So some things impact you more than others, but I wouldn't say that anything is small, and I think that all mental health struggles matter.
What can happen when someone keeps ignoring or bottling up how they feel?
Feelings don't disappear. Everyone deals with mental health differently. For some people, keeping things to themselves might actually be their way of coping. Talking doesn't work for everyone. But often keeping in really big feelings and not processing them properly can lead to burnout, panic attacks, headaches, fatigue. Trying to identify and process your emotions is so important, even if it's just for yourself and not doing it with another person. Dealing with feelings and emotions early on can definitely help stop that pressure from building up in the first place. And with everything, the more we practice talking about emotions and mental health, the easier it gets.
Can small problems really grow into bigger issues if they're not dealt with early on?
Yeah, I definitely think this is the case. Not always, but definitely in some cases. For example, with anxiety, sometimes anxiety can come from like irrational thoughts, irrational fears. Often with anxiety as well, you tend to avoid the thing that is making you anxious or making you scared. The more you avoid something, it can actually make that anxiety worse because you can build it up in your head. For example, let's say someone feels anxious about like speaking in class. They avoid it and they don't speak in class. The next time they have to speak in class, again, it might be built up so much anxiety that they actually skip that class. And then if it's becoming the point where they really need to speak in class, it's for an exam or something, they might actually skip school altogether because it's become such a big issue for them, which obviously is then impacting their education, all sorts of things. So small worries, small fears, they can definitely amount to big things if they're not caught early, managed. Early intervention and early support can just make a massive difference.
So what are some early signs that someone might be struggling?
It's different for everyone. Everyone has their own individual way of like presenting things. But I think some more obvious ones might be like anxiety. Anxiety is the body's way of like responding to stress and fear. Withdrawing from friends, family, feeling tired a lot or having trouble sleeping, changing in eating habits, changes in general actually, whether they usually go to this club and all of a sudden they're not going so much, or they're pulling away from spending time with their friends, family, feeling irritable, sad, hopeless, struggling to focus, stay motivated. Again, these are not the case for every single person and they differ from different mental health struggles, but yeah, there are some big ones. I would just say as well, like, check in with yourself, listen to your body. Self-care is so important.
Why is it important to talk to someone even if you're just feeling a bit low every now and then?
Talking doesn't help everyone, but it does help a lot of people. Everyone has different ways of coping. It's important to remember that. Even with support, there are different types. For example, some people might access talking therapy, which might help them. There are also things like BA, behavioural activation, which kind of focuses on the behaviours rather than sat talking over your emotions with someone. One thing that's important is it has to be the right time for the person. And if it is that right time, then talking can just help you process your feelings. Sometimes just saying things out loud can help you understand them better. You don't always have all the answers, neither do practitioners. Mental health practitioners don't fix things, but just speaking about it can just bring new perspectives. They can help with coping strategies. It's just about building small habits that can help you manage your mental health.
What advice would you give for a teen who feels guilty for asking for help because they think others could have it worse?
It's not about measuring. It's not about who's worse or better. I think everyone's mental health matters. Taking care of your mental health isn't selfish. It's brave. It can be quite scary and daunting to talk about things if you haven't done before. Taking care of your mental health isn't just important for you as well, it's important for the people around you. For example, as a practitioner, I check in with myself, see how I'm doing, how I'm feeling, so that I can show up and support my clients. And I would just say to anyone who's thinking about accessing support, just give it a try. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't like it, and in that case, you don't carry on with the support.
So how can friends support each other?
The main thing is just listen. Active listening as well, actually listening to what they're saying. It's really tempting sometimes when we are listening to what people say to jump in with our own things like, oh my god, yeah, I get that, me too, that kind of thing. But if it's their moment and they're wanting to talk to you and open up, just let them. Don't judge. Listen to exactly what they're saying, validate them, care, show you care, empathy, check in with them as well, make sure your friends are okay, and just keep the door open. If someone doesn't want to speak at a certain time, it doesn't mean that they won't want to in the future, so just letting your friends know that you're there if they need you.
An important question, what are some safe, easy first steps someone can take if they're not ready to speak to anyone yet?
Self-care is the absolute biggest one here, just looking after yourself. That again can look completely different for different people. For someone it might be going to the gym, for other people it might be socialising with their friends, reading a book, journaling, all these different things. Journaling can be good if you're kind of wanting to process your thoughts externally, but you're not ready to do that with another person yet. If you have a trusted person, like a teacher or the school nurse, or someone else that's not necessarily your parent or a professional, that might be a first step. Do the things you love. There are also platforms online like Kooth and others that you can access some support anonymously and online. Also, if a young person's wanting to access support but they're worried to tell their parent based on what their parent's going to say, or they just don't want their parent to be involved in the referral, if you are 16 and over, you can refer yourself and your competence will be assessed and parents might not need to know. So if it is the point where if you're worried about parents finding out about a referral, if you are over the age of 16, that doesn't have to be the case.
And lastly, what message would you give to anyone listening who feels like they don't deserve support?
I would just say that everyone deserves support. Services like ours wouldn't exist if people didn't need support, if people didn't access support. We're all about supporting young people no matter what's going on for them. So if you do have any curiosity and feel like you might want to access some support, do some research, have a look at what's out there, what services, do a referral for yourself, talk to someone, and with your friends, with your peers, everyone, just be compassionate, show empathy, care for yourself, care for others. It's so important that mental health isn't seen as taboo and there's not a stigma around it. So the more we discuss it, the more we talk about it, the more we're open about it, the less taboo is going to be around this topic, which is just really important.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking today. I'm sure a lot of people would really appreciate what you've had to say today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ella and Ruby from Invictus, as well as Bo for producing. We hope you found that as interesting as we did.
Not only did they host the episode, but they also undertook all the research too.
You can find lots of interesting podcasts on a variety of subjects by exploring the youth podcast sections on the Destination web app. Search destination.org.uk.
You can also find them on Apple, Spotify or YouTube.
If you would like to know more information about the topics discussed, please check the podcast description.
We'd like to thank Invictus and the National Lottery for the support, Jimmy for editing and Youth Social for producing.